Hi gang, welcome back to the Honoriest Latina ever. Oh gosh, this has been a great week. I got to see 2 out of the 4 of my kids, and we had a little reunion over here. The best time was out on the golf course. I think that if it wasn't raining and we had more time together, I would have ventured out into a game. We didn't get quite to a full game. All we did was we played a little like horse, or we were horsing around in the putting area. But I learned a lot, and learned a lot more from that putting time, because we don't really focus on that because I get really bored very easily. So we made a game out of it, which my son is really good about doing because him and I both have that ADHD factor. So when you make a game out of learning, it makes it a lot more fun. And so I wish the teachers would kind of get a clue about that, because I was in college and I didn't learn how to have fun inside of my classroom until I got to the college level. And you have like people like Jeb Bush, you know, that mandate all this testing bullshit. And then, you know, it's so boring. They teach the test, and these big testing corporations makes money off of all this failure. And they took out all the fun out of school. And so people like me with dyslexia, and most people that are just hands-on learning people, really get bored in that classroom where that you hear a monotone teacher droning out this information from these like textbooks that are from the 1900s that are full of a pack of lies, that are full of propaganda and full of just fake liberal bullshit. So it really isn't about like the teachers unions or the charter schools. It's all a bunch of bullshit. So I think that, you know, like if you really want to school your kid well, why don't we just give back all the money to the parents, right, Jeb? Just everybody has the same amount of refund back to their kid instead of the federal government taking it, and we can decide if we want to invest it in public school, private school, or just schooling our kids at home, or internet school. We could decide and pick the curriculum for our kids and do what's best for our children. And nobody is profiting off of school anymore. And then this way, the people can have their money invested any way they see fit, and we can say fuck it all to everybody else. But that's just my thought on the matter. It probably won't go because, you know, we have to have the pendejos screwing over the middle class so we can carry the poor and all that other bullshit. But if you wonder why I don't like politicians too much, I think people on both sides of the aisle are equally corrupt. I haven't seen a good politician yet. You know, they're just in the pockets of every institution. Like, for example, we have somebody right now that is in office, and he claims to be a Republican, and all of a sudden, you know, he's dabbling into education like a liberal, you know, and getting involved in like matters that doesn't really address him. And I don't think that government needs to get involved in any part of the education. It should be back down to local control. But a lot of local control, because of how things are going with the testing and all, No Child Left Behind, and the federal funding, because the feds got involved, lost a lot of their funding. So a lot of small rural schools closed down. And so what happened was more kids went to these big super schools. We have this here in Clearwater, where instead of having a bunch of small schools everywhere where you can have, you know, more time with the kids, you have these kids going into this institution where there's like 2,000 children, okay? And your kid is just a freaking number, and the teachers don't even know your kid. There's just no intimacy there. Nobody gives a shit whether they pass or fail. And it's all about the testing and the numbers and all that other bullshit. But honestly, my son didn't miss a day of school, but he still didn't graduate, and he was a super senior twice, and yet he scored one of the highest scores in the Florida FCAT. So there you go, Rick Scott, you know. But anyway, we leave the best and the brightest behind. We leave the disabled behind. We leave everybody behind. And I'm not a big fan of the public schools out here. And I wouldn't want to raise my grandkids in this state of Florida, because I think the public schools are really shitty, and everybody I talk to agrees with me on that. And then I don't think the charter schools are going to make it any better. And basically, I don't even think it's just the state of Florida. I think it's just the whole idea of you carrying the bottom of the barrel. Say, for example, we're in a company, and say we all work for a big company, right? and say your boss says, we're not going to pay you, Emilio, or whatever your name is. We're not going to pay you today. You're all going to like get the same amount of, like nothing, and you're going to work for free for me. And like, you know what? And if you do not pull your extra load to take care of Pedro over here, we're actually going to penalize you. We're going to penalize you a fee, and you have to pay more. You have to actually pay into this. People would just be like, fuck this company, and fuck the CEO, and fuck everybody, and that would be a very bad thing. So why would you think that you can go into the public schools and you say, well, these people aren't putting in an effort, the parents don't care about their kids, but we are going to nurture this little baby chick and make it so great, but we're going to do it at the expense of like penalizing your best and your brightest kids, taking away this and that, and putting everybody together, and then working to the lowest common denominator. And then when it fails and blows up, we're gonna take that money out and put it into something else and do the same fucking thing all over again and expect a different result. That is just fucking insanity, okay? That is fucking insanity. Meanwhile, we have kids in fucking Africa that are sitting on the ground with no building, no nothing, and they're coming into this country because we had them in Schiller as some of the students, and they're smarter than any of the African Americans that are going to these nice schools with air condition, books from 1800s, but I don't care. You don't even need books. I mean, really, everything is computer and online and technology based. But the thing about it, the thing that is lacking the most in any kind of situation is the morality. We are in a society that says anything goes. You could be a boy or a girl, and you can decide this at the age of 2 or 3, and that, there is no God, and there is no heaven, there is no this, but there's, what is it, what the liberals want to teach? There is transgendered, okay? There is free everything. You don't have to work for anything. Everything's going to be free. And guess what? We're going to bring robots in so that they could do all the work, and you can sit at home, and somebody's going to pay you an expected lot in life. So why the fuck do you even need to go to high school, grade school, elementary school, or even fucking college for that matter if the robots are going to take over the world? And what incentive is it to work when you're giving half your money to whomever, so they could sit around and work? So why don't we all sit around and work? And you see how socialism works? Nobody wants to work. But why? Why would you want to work twice as hard so that person that doesn't work doesn't have to work? And that's how the public education system is grooming kids to accept this society. They want to fail everybody, so everybody's going to be laying around collecting their little like lots in life and go, woo! Right. That's Jeb Bush's philosophy. So Donald Trump really doesn't dabble in education too much because he's the bright one. He is very smart, and that just comes so naturally. He's just got this big head full of big brains, and so I don't think it really occurs to him about talking about those matters, because you know what, I'm sure he had the best education money could buy. And so I think we should take our voucher money, give it to every single person, not just say limit charter schools and limit this and there's a cutoff here and there. Just say, hey, everybody, we're going to give you $9,000 of your money, or however it costs to educate any kind of kid, and you take that money, and if you want to go to the public school and invest it in the public school, you can. If you want to go to the charter school, you can do that. And if you want to take that money and do private school, religious school, homeschool, you got it. It's your money to invest any way the fuck you want. But all of us people that don't have kids, we don't have to pay anymore for these fucking institutions. In fact, we don't have to pay shit, because you know what? We don't have kids anymore, and we don't give a flying fuck, because you know what? The robots are going to take over, right? Right. So anyway, not to get angry, but you know what really is upsetting? I'm going to say one more point, is that we have Mexicans coming over here and they want free shit. Free shit. I don't want them coming over here, but you know what? Every single person that comes in here, if I have to be on an Obamacare policy or I get a tax penalty, everybody coming into our country, even if it's on a visa or whatever it's coming in on, they have to carry their own health insurance. In fact, kids that play sports, they have to carry health insurance. And you know what? The lightning is like ready to strike. Probably ready to strike me down dead for like going off on the mouth today. Today's Sunday. Instead of going to church, what am I doing? I am ranting in my kitchen. and I'm getting some things off my chest. So what did we covered today? We talked about education, Dee's way. We talked about healthcare and how that a majority of the healthcare benefits are going towards illegal immigrants. Lots. And that's no bueno. And you know what? We don't mind people coming because we welcome everybody that comes here. But you guys should be carrying your own healthcare benefits. With that said, have a blessed day and God bless. You're